Across the world, there are a number of women who are striving to take their position in national issues and, of course, to get their position in the society when it comes to playing a key role in also working hand in hand with their male counterparts. And that is why I would like to urge you to join the He for She initiative, which is promoting gender equality. My name is Eugene Anangwe, and I support that initiative. Welcome to yet another edition of Debate 411. And of course, this is that particular place where we put issues on the table and of course get to debate them with one particular aim of finding practical solutions to those issues. Today we are talking about the issue of the car-free zones in the city, and we are looking at the bitter-sweet part of the initiative. Who else better to help us understand this issue better other than Sunny, who is with the New Times and is also a blogger. Welcome to Debate 411, Sunny.
Thank you so much for having me.
We also have Dr. Alphones from the City of Kigali. He is the city engineer. Welcome to Debate 411.
Thank you very much.
With us also is Dr. Bazimya, who is an expert on urban development. Welcome to Debate 411, sir.
Thanks very much.
And Rama, Isibo, who is a blogger and a commentator on different issues. Welcome to Debate 411.
Thank you very much.
Right. So it all started, first of all, with an idea. And Sunny, we all know today that from your piece in your blog, you gave out an idea, and I will quote part of it, and you said, here is my solution. Between 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., make the central business district a car-free zone. It would reduce pollution in the city center, encourage public transport use, and reduce the creeping incidence of adult obesity due to the free gym tonic people will get by speed walking to work. This was followed by an endorsement by the president himself on this idea of developing car-free zones. First of all, your quick thoughts from what the City of Kigali has said today on this issue, saying that starting Monday, there are designated areas where cars will not be allowed to go. Your thoughts?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised that just a week after my article, I saw the idea come into being. But I don't think it would be right of me to assume that it was because of my article or the president's tweet about it, because I had the chance to talk to certain city officials, and they actually informed me that that was always part of the plan. The plan had been there since 2013. Yes. And so I'm not going to take any credit. However, I am pleasantly surprised. However, I will let the Kigali City kind of explain how that will come into being. Personally, like you had said, I had assumed that there would be certain times. But now I've actually found out that it's going to be a car-free zone 24 hours a day.
Yes.
24 hours a day. So
yes.
that is something that I have more questions as well. I have a lot of questions.
So the representative from the City of Kigali is here, and probably it's good to set the record straight on this issue. There are people out there already tweeting and saying that this is a rash decision out of excitement and, of course, out of the fact that the head of state endorsed this idea. Is this why we are rushing, or is this why we are doing this particular initiative?
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. It's good that also Sami, I am really very happy that Sami put up this idea of also making our city more sustainable. But also the initiative of the city is to make our city more a livable city. And I think the initiative of making part of the city center, what we call the central business district, is embedded within our city master plan.
So it was there even before Sani
it was
his article?
Exactly. And we have been working towards seeing how this we can realize this. And we have prepared ourselves enough to make sure that we start with one stretch of the road. And actually, I think people are quoting it in a way that is not the way it should be, because it has escalated too much and say the city has been out. But it's once what we call in transportation a road segment. It's a segment from near Sentinel House and to a court bridge to make that stretch a car-free area where people can interact, people can walk without having any problem.
We'll be hearing more
Yes.
on that particular issue, but let's first get this round one of comments on this particular decision by the City of Kigali that starting Monday there are certain areas restricted from bringing in cars. I'll bring you in, Bwana Bazimya, but of course let's first hear from Rama, who usually gives comments or his pieces of advice or words on certain issues. Your quick thoughts on this particular decision by the city following the issues or the way things have happened. From the time Sani penned it, the city says, no, actually we had this plan even before. The president endorsing it, and now what we have today.
I think it's illustrative of how our government works, both for good and bad. That when one important aspect of strong leadership is when the leader says so, it gets done. And this is Rwanda's leadership. It can move mountains. It can move Mount Karisimbi to another district if it wanted. That's its power. But I do think it was rushed. I don't think there was any proper research and calculations done into how much revenue is going to be lost by businesses in that area, about it being the gateway to the Quartier Mateos and so many other aspects. We haven't had a full assessment of the impact of this. And when you look at that area, all those buildings have parking. Are you going to tell directors every time they want to go to a meeting somewhere, they have to walk 400-500 meters down the road to get their car? And what's the parking situation and so many things? So it clearly, to me, it was rushed. I think this is something they were planning in the next 2 years. They just caught a very big wave and they decided to jump on that wave and put it through. But I think if you talk to business people, there are all businesses all around that area. People are always driving past, parking 2 minutes, getting what they need and moving on. So I think business will suffer. I don't know if they've done a full assessment as to how much, but I just wish someone, if we don't even have the business community advocating against this, maybe Rwanda revenue should, because we are going to see taxes going down at some point, and that's negative.
So a rash decision, Rama feels. Dr. Bazimya, you're an expert on urban development. Based on what has been happening to where we have got now on this particular decision of creating car-free zones and those specific areas that the city has mentioned, what are your thoughts?
I think I will say this. The idea has been the city hall corridors for a long time. Because I think the idea first came up way back in 1997. How do we make downtown Kigali a livable part of our city? But again, despite the fact that it has been on the books for a long time, I think the decision was a bit too fast. Because urban planning is a process. Urban planning is consensus, it's negotiation. And I think every player, every actor should be part and parcel of the process. Because you have business people, the private sector, you have the public sector, you have the civil society organizations, you have schools, you have hospitals involved, you have business community. And I think every decision that affects each one of those, or one of them, should be an integral part of the process. If we take that piece of land that is being in the highlight, between a Coral Bridge and Centenary House, I mean, you have 7 banks along that road. You have Rugwego Community Banking, you have KCB, you have Beka, you have
Bank,
EcoBank, you have Equity, you have I&M. Those banks really have to feel the pinch because the decision is going to impact upon them. At the same time, you have other institutions along that road. How do they accommodate between Wednesday night and Monday morning to have adjusted to the decision?
So you feel that due consultation might not have taken place?
I think, I don't know if it has taken place, but if it has not been public knowledge. And I think everybody should have contributed everybody should have consulted, so that the population, the businesses, the institutions, public, private, civil society, and whatever have you, they get on the bandwagon, knowing exactly where they are going and what is in.
Your point is home and dry. Engineer, you're here, and you've had them loud and clear on that issue of consultation, on the issue of proper scientific research on what would be the impact of this particular decision. You have told us here that since 2003, you had this particular plan in mind as the City of Kigali. 2013 rather. You had this particular idea in mind. Was it planned through that idea that you had? Was it planned that it should be implemented this Monday?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eugene, and I have heard the concerns of my colleagues. Much as we say like this, it's always important also, as they said, to engage the nearby community.
Were they engaged?
They were engaged.
What were their views?
So, and actually, as you said, these banks, the different banks have been engaged by the city authority, and they are very positive on the motive of that. And they are willing to cooperate and also to see how their business will still run. And actually, if I tell you well, we have planned this. We have not just fallen from the sky and put something like that. We have analyzed ourselves to see where the traffic will pass, and it will not harm those businesses.
In what form of engagement was this done? Is it an engagement of informing you that this is a decision we have taken, so comply? Or was it a one-on-one kind of engagement? Tell us your views. Do you think it's viable for your business, or do you think it would harm your business? And what way would it, work in order that we have a win-win situation? What form of engagement? How was it like?
Sure. I think the form of engagement we have done, we talked to the senior officials. The city talked to the senior officials, and then we tried to see, we technicians, engineers, moved around and engaged all these people a bit to see how we can make the streets work, and much as also their businesses are not harmed. And with that, all these bank officials were ready to say, okay, now we see the options, we see how the things are moving.
And so they are okay?
They are okay.
You're putting this on record that all the banks, all the institutions affected are fine with this move?
Sure. I don't know how you say, because also the effect on something, there are two things. One, we look at economic effect that will happen to the banks. But also we want to see what would be wrong. But we have really looked at all these issues, and the traffic will still move in the other streets of the CBD. And we have analyzed the distances that people can move. And we have seen that completely, and even what you think, I don't know, that's why I want to hear where they think people are going to the business are going to fail, or they are going to have.
You would like to hear that?
Yes. So based on what issues?
Sandy, from what he says, do you feel we are building a culture of rushing into decisions and then now hearing how will people be affected, then going back again to that issue? Based on that article you penned down and this decision that has happened, because you also said you were shocked that they are saying a 24 hours total, away, no cars here. But you had said at least from around 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Do you feel that this was a rash decision as well, or you're happy with this particular decision?
Well, I will not assume to know what goes on in the corridors of City Hall. If the good engineer says that indeed they sat down and they thought this one through, I will have to take them at their word. But perhaps, I think, as Rama said, there must have been some kind of I don't think it would be a coincidence that there was an article, there was a tweet, there was action. We shouldn't take people for a ride and assume that somehow that had nothing to do with the action. And perhaps the idea was always there, but they had some political will. There was maybe someone, there was, when they say that, sometimes they say if you want to make an omelette, you have to break some eggs. I guess in this case,
they're breaking eggs.
They're breaking eggs to make an omelette. Because I'm sure if the city council had really engaged the public, instead of maybe telling them a week before, because I'm sure you told your partners, you told the banks, you told the property owners, but the rest of us, whether us in the media, whether the rest in the civil society, we knew nothing about it. So it does seem, even though it might not be, it does seem rushed. Because we simply, in terms of your communication with us, that was extremely poor. So then the only thing that we are left to do is to imagine that it's because the president spoke.
Let's hear from Rama.
Yeah.
Rama, of breaking of eggs to make the omelette and the practical situation that we have on the ground today, where do you see this leading us? Because from the perception, again, as Sani said, we should not assume that there was coincidence from the article to the tweet to the action. Exactly with the practicability of all these things that are happening today, what do you think is now on the minds of people out there?
Personally, I think that pedestrianization, as we were talking earlier, in urban planning is not just cutting off a road and declaring it. You need to redesign the city. You need to remodel the layout of the roads. You need to make cycle lanes. You need to make walking lanes. You need to make disability-friendly, terrain. You need to improve the transport system. You need to concentrate everything in a small area. Like if you look at the great cities which are pedestrianized in the center, whether it's Times Square in New York or somewhere, you can get every given product within 300-400 meters of you. So therefore, it becomes very practical to be pedestrian. But I don't think there's been any practical measures as yet. Maybe down the road they will be, and it will need a lot of investment to transform it. But personally, I don't like the idea of a pedestrian city because it's either uphill or downhill. It's not practical really to make the city pedestrian. A comparable city is maybe San Francisco, and they have the tram line system which goes up and down.
But that's what Sani suggested there. Gym tonic, free of charge. That's what
No, but sometimes you have deadlines. You can't be running
yes,
up
as
the
you
hill,
rush,
turn
burning some
up
calories.
to a meeting sweating and smelling or something, needing
So
water.
it wouldn't be practical.
It's not yet practical, but it would have needed, I would have been happy with a 10-year program for this, or maybe if they could release their program. So we see long-term where we're going. We see what the end game is, because right now it just looks like inconvenience for the sake of it.
Looks like inconvenience, but from your experience of urban planning and urbanization, do you see this particular initiative backfiring on us, or do you feel that it's going to see the light of the day, it's going to grow, it's going to happen? People who are just talking are just resistance to change.
No, I think I wish it would grow. I wish everybody would be on the train moving in the same direction. But two observations. In order for the idea to be accepted and everybody moves on, two things will have to happen. We shall have to actually entirely change the traffic routes in the city. That's one thing. Two, we shall have to change businesses along that lane. I don't think the idea can work when there is a bank on that lane. I don't think the idea can work when there is a city hall on that lane. I don't think the idea can work when there is a shopping mall on the lane.
Which has like
How
several
will
layers
you
of parking in it.
accommodate the normal customers despite having changed their transportation system?
Let's hear from the engineer himself, from the city. How will this work, countering those statements from Dr. Bazimya here?
Thank you, Eugene. I think all these concerns have been looked at by the city. First of all, when you talk about, I don't really agree with the thing of saying we have the banks there, they are going to have problems when we pedestrianize. We have the city hall there that you need people to come in there by cars. But I think if you look very well, with my experience also from other countries where I managed at least to go, and with my experience with my, what I have done in my research.
And you also localize that experience with our local situation.
Sure, within the local context.
Yes.
If you look, if you do the model split, you find most Rwandese or the most city residents walk. If you count how many people use cars in that, say, a car is occupied by one person. And if we pedestrianize that stretch, then you have a pedestrian boulevard where people have now to access the services without being interfered. In that sense, we have people entering banks, people entering the city hall, people having time to rest there. We're going to put chairs and some landscaping there where you have to feel and enjoy and feel that you're okay. And I doubt whether that would bring a problem, much as people say now the cars are the ones having to come and enter, and now the business will run. But for sure, we have analyzed that, and that's why we have taken a step on that. And we know we have identified parking, and we have measures that people can come from the parking, and the distances that allow walkable distances are put in place.
So the people who are complaining, or the people who are showing that they're being inconvenienced, would you say they're just being resistant to change?
I wouldn't say they are being resistant to change in that way, because I think it is their first experience to see.
So they should just relax and get used to the situation.
And they can see the situation and now adapt to the situation, because I think we are making it for the people. Actually, a city is not for cars. A city, and actually CBD, is entirely for people to move and buy and purchase things and enjoy. So
people drive cars.
Do you take those words comfortably? Do you agree with what he says? I mean, it's time for you to just relax and adapt to the situation. You'll get used to it. It's fine.
Well, we've had this situation before, one time when the president commented about motors in town being a nuisance, and they were banned from town, and then people protested enough, and they were brought back. But then, I think Kigali is too hilly, is too impractical. Not everything is far away from each other. Like most of those cities that you talk about, everything is within the town center. Like it would be easier to pedestrianize Nairobi because it's on nice grids. Everything is within a walking distance. It's a nice flat area. But I think Kigali, it's so impractical. You're uphill, downhill. It's too, people would rather, and especially, we are trying so hard to get our town to be active, not only during daytime, but after hours. So I don't see how it would have been better to do maybe a 12-hour thing, and then in the evening just to allow cars so people can enjoy the bars and restaurants and the cinema and the various other things in the town center. But I would have preferred if they had nudged us along this slowly. If they could have increased parking fees for the town center to discourage people from driving there, they could have implemented a 12 or whatever hour blockage. They could have done so many other things. But as for now, the alternatives are not really there, especially during peak time traffic when people are trying to use the Kigali bus service and the various other buses. You find that it can take even an hour, 2 hours to get
access
home.
public transport.
Yeah,
Sunny, your idea, as you come in, you had encouraged this thing of creating a car-free zones in order to promote the use of public transport. But looking at our situation today, is our public transport sector well managed and able to accommodate these people who will be walking, to take care of those who would love to use them? Are we already there to be able to bring in this kind of an idea?
Okay. You'll excuse me. Before I answer that question, there's something that I want us to all agree, that the status quo was untenable. It could have worked now for the next couple of years, but let's look at the size of that road, okay? And the amount of offices that were going to be on that road. I mean, if you went there at certain times, the cars were barely moving, okay? And this is before the Makuza building is fully utilized, before where the pension plaza was not fully utilized. There was going to be this new Equity Towers that was next to. There would have been gridlock. Yes, and that was something I was thinking about. I was saying, okay, was this current situation tenable? The one way would have maybe been
tenable for now. It could have been phased out,
exactly,
as opposed to just
I think that's something that we need to first agree that the situation, there had to be some change. Okay, then we can maybe say the timing of the change. The timing of the change. But on the question of public transport, I wasn't sure, having talked to city officials, I wasn't sure whether public transport would be allowed in that zone. Because from what it seemed as if that was going to be a car-free zone.
No whether public or private.
Okay? And then again, I heard that there were going to be shuttles. But then, which would then go against the idea of it being a car-free zone, and because I don't want to be walking with my, friends or my children, and then all of a sudden there's a bus coming behind me. So that was something that was confusing. So I don't know what public transport had to do with the car-free zones. So that's something that I found it very confusing.
And before we take the break, it points to the issue of consultation. It points to the issue of breakdown of information. Because if the media or the members of the public, if you say you consulted the top officials of these institutions that would be affected, but seemingly sort of left out the members of the public, then don't you feel there's a breakdown here in terms of how we pass on the information that we have on national issues?
No, I think what you are saying, I have told you that all these concerns we are taking into consideration, like public transit. When you talk about pedestrianization, you cannot separate it from public transport. Because, and this is where the trend of our city is going through. So actually this also, pedestrianization is coming, also integrating with what we are doing on the planning of roads. Where we have now to integrate cycling lanes and walking ways. So all this, they have to make a sort of a network for the city. But when it comes to that particular area where we are going to make a car-free, to make it clear, even I think I don't know where I got information, but public transport is allowed within the area that we are going to pass other cars. That small zone would be fully pedestrianized.
No car, no public?
No car, no public. But public transport has been planned and entirely where people will stop. Everything has been identified on the network.
So you've clarified that no public transport or vehicle will pass through those car-free designated
The car-free designated segment, that's from Centenary House to Equator Berge, completely to be pedestrianized.
Are there any plans to expand it? Obviously,
the expansion of
the car-free zones,
the car-free zone.
Of course, with time, that will go in.
That's not going to be the end.
That will be in phasing.
Yeah.
So we cannot, like what you said, we cannot just go and say entirely the city, the CBD, the Central Business District is going to be fully. You have to get options, of course. And this has to go with the scientific also study to show exactly where to go. But we are implementing our master plan in a phase. So we start with that small section. We are going in another phase where we have to link up, especially to other places that are more densely and which are really congested with cars. And if you allow me well, you will see that most of the CBD is very congested with cars, people moving, people are not having life there. So we need to make our CBD more friendly. And the people will be really enjoying that.
Yes. When we come back, we're going to move the conversation forward. Just hold that particular thought, because I'd want us to also go to the next level and probably ask ourselves, Rama mentioned the options that probably would have taken, hiking the parking fees and all that. Why did we just settle for this one, car-free zone? Plus, of course, other issues that some people have already raised on social media platform. We'll look at those issues when we come back right here on Debate 411. Stay with us. This is Debate 411. We're talking about the issue of creation of car-free zones in the city. And of course, our point of focus is on the bittersweet part of that initiative. Talk to us, tell us, do you believe in that particular initiative? Do you like it? Do you feel that there's some issues that you do not like about that particular initiative? This is your opportunity to share your views. You can tweet and tag the City of Kigali, that is at City of Kigali. You can tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe or at Debate411. Use the hashtag Debate411. We'll come back in a very short while. Thank you for being with us. See you after the break. Yes, we are ready. 10 seconds to go. All right. That's the wide, eh?
But if you look at African nations, including Rwanda, almost 50% comes from donors. So how can these countries
So I
that are
continue.
beggars, most of these
I
countries
continue.
are beggars, you know? So how can a beggar fund another beggar?
All right.
There is
So-
no
so you want
entire-
him to
so
apologize to
he
you?
doesn't
No, no, no,
misquote
to the
me.
industry, to the industry.
Don't misquote
To the
me.
industry.
You are not
All right.
the entire. You
But
are a journalist.
if
as
he
an
so wishes, he
individual.
can apologize
no,
to
no,
me
no,
as
no,
well.
no, you are not an entire.
can I go
because
on?
he might misquote me.
This is
I
not the
know.
point.
You are not
Listen.
an
Okay,
entire.
let me
Article 101 has two clauses. The first clause says that the term of office is 7 years, renewable once. The second clause says, under no circumstances. You mark that word, under no circumstances. So that word makes this article intangible.
Now, constitutions should reflect the will of the people for whom they are made. The Green Party is putting itself in a very interesting position, where it doesn't only oppose the other political parties, but it is also opposing a very large number of Rwandans who are saying, this is what we want.
Give the Rwandan government time. But we shouldn't say, okay, they're supposed to do everything and we youth are sitting back and wait for them to set just the right environment. No.
But this is what you said. You're here. And the New Times you say it's not a Bible, so you're here to respond.
Let her retract this
Yes,
statement
no, I
made in the
don't
newspaper.
retract.
I don't retract it. Sincerely speaking, listen to me, you people. You don't fear me at all. On my age and my what, I can't really be intimidated by you.
I still have the right to blame anyone or to judge anyone. Because, as I said, yes, I'm a student, but then an entrepreneur because I own a business that employs 3 people.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the tweets and for the feedback. Debate 411, that's the hashtag to keep using. Let's keep this conversation going. We'll see you again next time. Goodbye for now. My name is Eugene Anangwe. And welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us on Debate 411. We're taking a critical look at the initiative of creating car-free zones in the city of Kigali. And of course, our point of focus is the bittersweet part of this initiative. Share your thoughts. Keep telling us what are the good parts of this initiative. And of course, what are the areas that you have concerns about. And of course, you might have your answers or questions answered either during this show or even later on. My guests in studio, we have Rama, Isibo, we have Dr. Bazimya, we have Sani himself, and our friend from the city of Kigali, his engineer, Nguruziza Alphones. Now, gentlemen, before we went for the break, we were looking at the issues that probably are being raised by the people, the emerging issues. And based on the announcement from the city of Kigali, starting Monday, there are certain areas which have been made clear that no cars will be able to go there. And we are on a Friday, you know, and this means there are people who have activities that they do on that particular street, and they used to do it using their cars. For example, at a Colbech, some parents probably would drop their children there with cars, and they're wondering what happens. What is the plan? How do we get there? Do we have signage? Do we have another alternative? If I'm supposed to be parking my car that I used to go with at that area, where do I park it? What are the plans that have been put in place out there?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Eugene. And this is a good opportunity, but also we have, I think, the city has also publicized this through the media outlets. But also this is a good chance also to make that also to the public and making sure that. So already, much as we are trying to plan this Monday to be to put in effect the pedestrianization of that segment, which I would think would be even the title of the topic, not car-free zone, but more pedestrianization of the city center, which makes more sense than say car-free. It's more alarming.
You have just gotten a title of producer of Debate 411, just for now.
Yeah, and In that case, the traffic will, most people have been approached, and we have identified some places of parking. Because if you look at the CBD, you find some, also we have existing parking places that are not fully utilized. And these are some of the places, like for example, RSSB building, which is Pension Plaza, has some parking lots which are not fully utilized. So we have some places we have already designated, now already it's working. We have the...
This information is out there?
Yeah, the information is already ongoing. We have given it to the media.
To which media specifically? Because
No,
the people complaining and say, this information, we only have 2 days to get into this actualization of this particular initiative. How do we get there? Where's the information?
No, I think what you are saying, we have got several new newspapers that have already approached us from the city. The information is given to the New Times even, on the New Times.
So if it's at New Times, it's in the public?
No, already several newspapers have approached us. And yet even now I'm publicizing this information. I don't think we are just here for talking ourselves, but we are giving information how people will be moving.
The timing is the issue, because people are saying it's so short notice for us and we don't have full information. Sunny, personally, do you have this information? If you are using a car in the city center, and those particular areas where have now been, pedestrianized, do you have the information of what to do on Monday?
Well, using me as an example would be unfair simply because I have made a few phone calls.
Yes,
I've made a few phone calls to find out just for my own sake.
Yes.
Because I did not want to wake up and not be able to know what's going on. But certainly, they haven't used the media that well, and they haven't even used their own platforms that well. If there was, for example, on the Kigali City Council website, a press release, and not only a press release, a map of the city and showing new routes and potential parking spots so that people have a place to...
And also what I was saying, and to show the phase 2, the phase 3, the phase 4, so businesses can plan. We were saying that if you lock off, by making that area pedestrian, you have to make other areas one way, which means removing parking facilities, on-street parking completely, which is going to hurt businesses in the downtown business district. So I think it's just going to lead to the death of town as a business
Dr.
center.
Bazimya hasn't spoken for a while. Let's hear from him as an expert on these issues. What do we stand to lose from this initiative, Dr.?
Quite a number of things. And the biggest thing is poor trust between the public and the city hall. That would be the biggest loss. Trust between the administration and the consumer of their administrative policies.
How?
I will give you a typical example. They are closing it off at Centenary House. If you close it off, that means you have closed that road to Pension Plaza, to Koje Bank on the side, to Beka, to Equity, to Mount Kenya where I work. Now, what alternative parking lots have you created? For the people who are not going to park there, who are not going to drive there, what alternatives have you given them?
I think maybe the city just doesn't want us to drive.
That's one thing. Now, if you look at what is going on, activities that are actually in the status situation.
Do you have, before you go on, do you have answers to that?
Yeah, sure.
What
I have
alternatives
answers
do
for
we
that.
have?
So actually, if Dr. Bazimya, I try to answer your question very well. So if we block the traffic that was going through that part that is blocked, that whole lane, we are going to pass the traffic on the other side of the road. That means the traffic will pass through
in front of the city hall.
In front of the city hall, and it will go directly pass through where there was Minikofin, but it goes through. Then it goes through where there was
Radio Rwanda. The radio in
where there used to be radio, and then you go down. Then you pass through the first street after the main one that we have closed, and that is near Hotel Simbi. and on-street parking will be removed. And this actually we have analyzed. This street parking are people who come and park their cars there and move around the city. And this, if we look at the places we have entirely on the ground where this parking can go, we have identified that RSB building, which is the Pension Plaza, has some lots where people can park. We have identified the Kigali area where people can leave their cars and they can take public transit or these shuttles that can bring them in the city. We have identified some places like also the Kigali City Tower, which is also the
But why didn't you put these things in place before?
But even
before
then,
you
even
cut
then,
it.
You still had the floor.
Yeah.
I asked my, we constantly park in the RSSB building.
Yes.
We know the number of parking places there. We know
So it
the
might
number
not
of
even be
parking
enough.
places in the Pension Plaza, in the RSSB building in Kigali. This is the thing, sometimes you don't even have a parking space available. There are less
It's very
places
narrow.
than actually
You can't
needed.
even park a normal car
Okay?
in there.
That's one thing. Two, there is no possible expansion of those parking places. Now, if he wants me to drive from the roundabout via Minekofin, via former places, that's as a through pass, that's fine.
Yeah.
But where do I park? Do I continue driving all around in order to come to work in KCB, in order to come to work in Community Urugwego, in order to come and work in Mount Kigali?
So you feel there's no alternative at all. Do you feel that you goofed as a city by jumping onto this particular initiative and saying, Monday, let's go? Because he's asking, why didn't we have this information prior to coming up with this plan? Where is that phase? Phase kind of strategy of telling us phase 1 will happen on this time, and that this is what will be involved. This is phase 2 for that person planning to open a business, so that they're not inconvenienced. Imagine, for example, let's say someone was planning to open their business starting Monday at those areas that you've mentioned that there are no cars will be allowed there. And now, probably starting Monday, they will not be able to go there to do their business, because probably the reason why they decided to pick that location is because of the constant movement of people around there in terms of the vehicles and all that. What do they do?
Yeah, but Eugene, I would like to tell you that people will access immediately those services. I don't agree with the principle of saying if the cars are stopped, then the business will will be paralyzed, and people will not access. So completely that is out of, that would be not the good way of looking at it, because we're actually creating a pedestrianization for people to be able to access these services.
So you feel this move will help boost businesses?
Yes.
Will help?
Will help. Actually, what we are doing, we have identified locations where these people will park. For example, we have around 350 parking lots in Kigali. And if you have the shuttles that bring people, those who are not able maybe to walk, but also people have to learn. We have to have green transport in our city.
You see, the unfortunate part of the idea is this. If I park in Kigali, it's exactly 1 kilometer away from where you work. What is the reason?
And that's why I bring shuttle for you.
But the unfortunate part is,
yes,
the public opinion out there is that the city hall is actually in bed with the business person doing the shuttle to create business for you.
And the parking lots and
Right?
everything.
And that's the unfortunate
What do you say of this allegation, that you're actually building business for the shuttle owners, building business for the parking lot owners?
No, I don't think that's the way to go. I think the right way to say, we need to create a sustainable urban mobility.
Perfectly agreed.
Yes. And this
But how?
But how?
Create it first and then push
Yes,
us
but
into it.
this is how we are creating it.
Yeah.
We start with what we do. So we are greening part of the city for people to enjoy, to live and work, and also even get time to shop and even access these services. And with that, I don't think we have really gone astray, but if we have already analyzed ourselves as a city to say exactly how these people will be moving and where they will park, and try to convey our city residents to places. So we have to connect the origin destination where people are going, and we have considered we are going to bring shuttles where it is possible.
So you're not in bed with the owners of the shuttles? You're not in bed with the owners of the
I'd like to ask the city officials.
Yeah.
I think right now we're looking at it in terms of only the businesses that can be lost because of it. However, if you look around the world, usually when they have pedestrian zones, they also have certain kinds of businesses that form around.
We don't allow hawking. We don't allow people to sell on the streets.
Actually,
that would make sense. In Times
Rama,
Square, you have hawkers.
I listened.
Kigali, you'll be arrested for that.
I asked that question to the mayor this morning. I said, will there be any way that, say, if there are a lot of banks, there's a school, there should be food carts.
There should be hot dog stands and everything, hamburger stands and everything.
I asked the mayor, if someone like a Mr. Chips wants to provide food for all those workers who are going to be there, they're going to be benches. I asked him, what would the process be for someone to get a permit to work within the pedestrian zone? And he told me that there was going to be no special permit, that all you'd have to do as a business is to seek a permit in any kind of normal way, which I don't know if it was.
In Rwanda, you need specific permission to do any specific.
But that's what I would like to.
Would like to look at now. What can we benefit, or how can we benefit?
Because usually, you're able to have concerts there. You're supposed to.
Eugene, I would wish this thing to be taken into consideration. We all know the street that we are talking about.
Yeah.
At the end of the street, you have a hospital.
Sure.
Right? At the beginning of the street, you have a school, which is a Koruberish. Right at the corner, you have an apartment hotel coming up. Right at the corner, you have a bank being complete. Have these things been taken into consideration before they changed the parking? When you turn the road, below, in front of the Koruberish, you have literally no space for any extra parking. When you turn around Hotel Isibo, people who have been at the hotel know the chaos of the parking space.
They're all parking on the pavement.
We have the engineer here.
Yes.
Please, let us know practically the scientific research and the answers that you have on those particular concerns that Tari is raising here. What are the alternatives? What was put into consideration looking at those upcoming apartments, the hotels, and of course the schools and all that?
Actually, he brought it very well. I think when you talk of the principle of pedestrianization, you are talking of be able to move all these people that will be attracted to these services.
Let's talk how. How will we do it? Let's put it practically.
Now, let's go on the ground. These people, we have a public transport system that will still learn and has been taking people from Seashka, what he has been saying. So the entire public transit will still learn and serve the CBD. That has not stopped. Second, so if it means that people are going to remove on-street parking, and that is already going to move out because these are it's the one that has been causing us the congestion in the city. We have identified places where this parking will be, and we are going to bring buses. The buses will be allocated there to bring people who.
But what you call congestion is business, is customers. You look at it like a problem. For a shop owner, that's a blessing.
No. Then
you
if
want
I don't
as
have
many
space,
people
if
as
I don't have
possible.
space where to breathe, a space where I can pass and buy all these goods,
but at
a space
the
where I
same
can take
time,
my child,
at the same time,
it's not a city.
At the same time, I'm perfectly in agreement with pedestrianization of the streets. I'm perfectly in agreement with idea of making the roads, streets more livable, more enjoyable, more entertaining. But I'm concerned with the kind of impact that the pedestrianization is going to have on the specific businesses. Because the congestion that they talk about is actually the public transport that causes the congestions on that road. If you see the bus parking between Camellia restaurant and actually the gate of the city hall, that's the source of the problem. Now, you are telling me you're going to use the same source of the problem as the source of the solution? At the same time, what is going to be the impact of that on the supermarket next to the university? What is going to be the impact on Ukameria? What is going to be the impact on KCB? What is going to be the impact on Urwego community banking? How are you going to change the connection between that road and the rest of the streets? The street that goes between, around near Bank Kigali, between Makuza building and Bank of Kigali. How are you going to change those so as to suit the changes of the land use and land use activities along that particular street?
Because
it would be easier to build a brand new area.
I'll bring Sunny in, but before Sunny comes in, because you say these are master plan, and that master plan has all these things that you are implementing, including the pedestrianization of the city.
Sure, that's right.
Now, as he mentions those concerns of those buildings and those businesses that are already going to face this problem, were they aware of this when they were setting up these businesses? Were they aware that it will come a time that we will do this? And so get prepared. Whatever you do, whatever businesses you're putting up, this area will one day become a pedestrian walk area, and so prepare for the consequences. Were they aware of this?
Yeah, I think it's very good that Dr. Bazimya brought some of the arguments on the functionality of the commercial buildings along that corridor that we have pedestrianized. But also, to make you clear, the master plan of the city has been fully engaged by stakeholders coming in. So the master plan of the city did not come from the sky. When it was being done, stakeholders came in, and everybody participated to make this a reality.
So they were aware that
they were aware of how we're going to develop the city. And everything that is being done is communicated already. We sensitized the population about the master plan. So when we are now implementing it, people should be aware exactly, and I know very well that that's why even most of these people have been cooperative, because they know that master plan has to take place for them to work better, to live well. The doubts we have here, I don't think is the doubt we have. The doubt we have is to leave your car. That's what I feel within the community that has cars.
The feeling
that they have to be enclosed in their cars, and now I have to leave my car somewhere. That's now the whole problem. But I want to assure that, Camellia, the Camellia clients do not come by car. They are corporate officials that work along these banks, the city, where Minicofin, that come on it walking.
That's not true. Because I use my car and I drive and I park in their parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm not a
but they have very limited parking.
Most of the people who commute there and who work there are the ones that
they go there by foot.
They go by foot. And if you are going by your car, that means you are one of the people that also are bringing problems to because you should walk. Actually, walking is even good. Like what my friend said, this is also exercise, and we live well.
So tell me, so how do people who are transporting money to these banks, what are they going to be doing? The people who are going to be taking their children to a college, for example, how are they going to be going about this?
Thank you very much with that. I think that was also brought up by Dr. Bazimya about exactly what's going to happen with these services and maybe emergencies. So with these roads, they are going to be allowed somehow.
So because they're going to be allowed?
Yes. So you cannot block everything. So with some emergencies and services, and you need some hours, of course, that will be determined, especially in the evening hours when people, this pedestrianization is going to work during time when people are working, during working hours.
So if you're transporting money, you'll be allowed to go.
So if you are moving money with that at a specific time, this time that will be allocated, you can move your money.
What's the specific
Wait,
time?
is that, no, I'm very confused here. Because I think, I don't think he means your own private car, that you're a businessman.
He means those
I think it would be the money trucks in those armored
is
vehicles.
It me if, for example, I have money?
There's so many functions.
So many functions.
Let's
because I would assume
that I was meaning these cars that carry money from the bank to another place.
You need everything. You even need sewage trunks which come to empty the cesspool. You need
so they'll be allowed.
They'll be allowed. That's why we're going to put actually what we're going to put there as something. It's this that it's the blocks that move in and move out. So you can easily at times You can enter when there is emergency, there is a fire outbreak, there is something that is happening. You have to leave that access still working for the
I hope
for
they
the
won't be
emergency things.
electric.
No.
Because you know,
I think
with our power cuts.
No, those
Because
things will be all the on the grid.
The
all the
concern
time.
here
Yeah.
is that sort of confusion
Yeah.
that some people might be having.
Yeah.
That if we will allow some cars or certain situations where people will move in there, then wouldn't we, I mean, what would we be achieving?
No.
at the end of it?
Yeah, but you look, when we talk of people also in the city, you have to look at the travel pattern of people. So this is from the transportation point of view.
Yes.
So when you look at the working hours of Rwandese, so you have to also contextualize the whole matter. So they work from 6, if somebody has reached there, then till around 9, 10, people are there. But if you have time that is really where other activities can take place, like these people bringing all things here in the shopping, to load the shopping, and they have to offload, they have to do this. This can be done on specific hours, that when we don't have the real public on that side.
Specific hours.
Eugene, I think the whole thing is
Yes.
what I can call a backward reaction. When you look at that section of the city that they are talking about, pedestrianization on that particular thing is a reaction from the impact of the land use activities that have been allowed on that piece of land. I mean, when you look at the piece between the Coral Berridge and Centenary House, that's actually the CBD of the city in many ways.
The banks.
That's the high-end kind of activities.
So we are killing it.
However, it's been allowed without having due consideration of the issues we are talking about today. When you ask, they will tell you, oh, we are allowing that high-rise building because there is an underground parking. But the argument has always been, before you go to the underground parking, you have to come from somewhere. When you go from the underground parking, you have to go to some place. So there must be some accessibility between the entry and exit. And pedestrianization on that piece of land is actually a reaction against that.
So we have only 1 minute, and
Yes.
I want us to share that 1
Sure.
minute in closing remarks. And as we finish, no apologies at all. This is a forward ever, backward never kind of situation. Are we going backward on this one, or we are on? We are marching on, no turning back.
Yeah, thanks, Eugene. I think for me, and as a city, this is something that we're going to work on, and actually it will be effective. And I am assuring the public that this will work well and they don't have any problem.
Super.
Because we have analyzed the whole traffic flow. So, and the parkings around and all the entries in the shops that are available is perfect. It's something we have not just...
So you're moving on.
We are moving on.
Moving on. Sunny, have we put the cart in front of the horse? Do you think this is going to work for us as we go?
Well, I think it will work because, as I've learned in Rwanda, usually when there's enough will, somehow people
There's
make it
enough
happen.
way.
People make it happen. I just wish that where, like I've seen with our public parks, we put public parks, but then we don't allow people to use them.
Because we want to grass
Because
to be
it's just green.
Grass, yes.
And it looks pretty, but it's not used. I hope that in this case,
This is
when
going
you
to be
allow pedestrians to
Sure,
actually use them, you also allow businesses that pedestrians will actually use, so that people
I want
enjoy.
to be able to buy a hamburger.
And this is what
Your time is up, one engineer. Rama,
you see,
it's going to work, not work?
One of the problems we have in Rwanda is flexibility in planning. Even when the doing business report comes out, they rank us very well in the last one, which is planning permits and flexibility like that. We really lag behind. What this has shown is that we really need a more flexible planning system that is more interactive, that does more feedback, that really cooperates with the people. And as much as he thinks that he has social, what do you call it?
Interacted or
no, the
sensitization.
Yeah.
Master plan.
Yeah. We need a lot more of it, so much more, because what you have done is not really enough. When you have explained it, it looks a lot more plausible. But at first, we were all very skeptical. But please, be more flexible and spend more time sensitizing
cities.
and understanding.
I'll mute your microphone. Dr. Bazimya, are we going to make it? Will this work? Do you have the confidence that this will work, or we'll reach a time and say, let's stand back on this one. We erred here.
I honestly wish to believe that it will work. However, a lot of debate needs to be done. Because I think there are several interests that, even though the City Hall says consultation has been done, I think there are lots of interests that have not been really sensitized to the idea, to the benefits, to the mechanisms, to the strategies. And in the process, the overall long-term benefits get lost. And I think that's what he has talked about. Flexibility, consultation, negotiation, consensus, so that things move in the same direction.
Super. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen, for your insights and time on the program. That's where we bring the curtains to the show. And of course, the conversation has to continue. Dr. Bazimya says there's more debate that needs to be done on this particular issue. Let's keep sharing those ideas. Let's keep talking. It affects you, share your views and ideas on how best things can be done in order to get us to where we want to get. And that's the particular aim of this particular show, to get us debating and talking and agreeing to disagree. We'll see you again for another debating session right here on Debate 411. Thank you for the tweets. Thank you for the interaction. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. We'll see you again next time.
This is an EA production.